Hello and good day, meteorologist Mike Adcock here. It's the 14th of March and we're tracking Tropical Storm Bavi located in the Caroline Islands, and it's making its way toward the Marianas. Take a look at satellite imagery. We do see convection being sheared off there to the west. That's thanks to about 20 to 30 knots of easterly shear. That being said, the convection is maintaining itself to a degree. That's thanks to some diffluence aloft helping to promote the thunderstorm development. As a result, seeing 40 to 45 knots in the northern quadrant on ASCAT imagery from earlier this morning. One thing of note, the system is moving off to the west pretty rapidly at about 35 kilometers per hour. Now, usually this forward motion does not favor a tropical cyclone. However, it is appearing that it is offsetting some of this wind shear aloft. So, pretty interesting there. Taking a look at the JMA analysis as of 1 p.m. Guam time, the center of circulation about 530 kilometers to the northeast of Wino there in Truk State, or about 970 kilometers east of Guam. It is moving to the west-northwest at 35 kilometers per hour, and our winds holding steady at 75 kilometers per hour with gusts up to 110. Pressure at 992 hectopascal. The National Weather Service has issued a typhoon watch for Guam, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan, as well as issuing a TC Core 3 for the islands. This is for the possibility of typhoon conditions late Sunday afternoon through early Monday morning. Now, in addition to the damaging winds, we're also going to have to monitor seas. They're going to be increasing from the 10 feet we're seeing today up to about 16 to 19 feet by Sunday night. Storm surge will also be a factor, 2 to 4 feet along the eastern shores there on Sunday. And then rainfall as the system passes through could see 2 to 4 inches in Guam and Rota, 1 to 3 as we make our way up north toward Tinian and Saipan. The National Weather Service is issuing local statements on this system, so continue to monitor those for the latest information. Now, as we zoom out, look at across the western Pacific here, we see Bavi there approaching the islands. Strong area of high pressure off to the north. Notice a few areas of cloudiness there on the top end of our screen. That's with a couple of waves passing through, being supported by a very strong jet, and that jet is what is creating all this shear, or in part at least. Take a look at the analysis from JMA. Here are our about 4 areas of high pressure that are keeping the system blocked. So westerly motion is really going to be the factor. Again, just looking at some shear around this system as well as associated with the jet. And I've got a graphic here in a little bit that I'll be showing you that will illustrate this a little bit clearly. But again, shear is going to be the biggest factor for this system. Now, as we get toward the end of the week, we're going to possibly see the system moving more northwestwards as it approaches the Philippines, and that's just because of the northern placement of these high pressure systems. So let's go ahead and take a look at the JMA analysis, or the JMA forecast on Bavi. Again, making its way through the Marianas, Guam, there on Sunday night into Monday morning, and then pretty much west or west-northwest over the next few days. As we get toward the end of next week, that's when we start to see a little bit more latitude with this system. So we're going to definitely keep an eye on it for the Philippines. Right now, looks like it's going to be more of a threat toward Luzon, Bicol region, Calabarzon. You're going to have to keep an eye on this system. It may end up a little bit further north, though, toward the Cagayan Valley. There's a lot of variables with this system. Now, this is something to monitor. This isn't by any means, we're not expecting a significant storm with this system. Could see this impacted by shear to the point that it weakens completely. Right now, the official forecast keeps it as a tropical storm as it approaches the islands. So definitely going to be looking for some gusty winds, as well as heavy rainfall. And I think that's going to be the biggest threat with this system, at least to the Philippines. Once it does enter the Philippine area of responsibility midweek, this system will be crescented with the Filipino name Betty. Let's go ahead and pull up the JTWC forecast track. Very similar, not as much northward motion late in the period. I think this forecast is a little bit pessimistic on in terms of its wind speeds. They do intensify the system prior to landfall there in Guam up to 100 kilometers per hour. I think that's, again, with the shear, that may be a struggle. With a little bit further intensification once it passes, then the general theme across all the agencies is weakening as it crosses the Philippine Sea. Now, we've been talking about shear, and here's the latest shear graphic from the University of Wisconsin. Do see a significant amount of shear, about 45 knots currently over the Marianas with the jet. I've seen a lot of southerly winds over the Marianas. That's blending up with this strong jet core that's off to the north. Now, looking at the forecast for shear over the next few days, a lot of the shear remains off to the north. We're not seeing these 100-knot winds making their way southward. But as the system tracks off to the west, it's still going to battle about 20 to 30 knots of shear throughout the period. So I don't anticipate this system strengthening. Again, officially that does forecast some slight strengthening, but I don't anticipate this is going to be a monster storm by any means. Just a good run-of-the-mill tropical storm. Looking at surface plots across the area, nothing much to speak of right now. Most of the thunderstorms displaced off to the west and not being impacted by any land at this point. Again, Marianas right now looking at just some northerly winds. Pretty gusty, getting up into the mid-40s. As a result, it's been pretty dry in the Marianas, so they have issued a red flag warning for the risk of fire. That's on top of the typhoon watch that's in place. So definitely going to see those conditions, those gusty winds, being a factor for them over the next day or two. Keep it tuned over here at westernpacificweather.com, where you can get this as well as other analyses. You can also join us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day, and take care.